I'm vengeance.
I'm Batman.
Justice. Welcome back to the Gentleman's Sit Down. We are an untraditional podcast.
Trying to be traditional gentlemen.
I am Cythereus D. Lemitius.
And I'm Joshua K. Callahan.
Links to our social medias in the links below. Hey, description below, whatever the heck, it's down there.
Put a comment.
Hey, if you like our podcast, leave a like, share, with a friend, write a comment, subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell.
Share it. Do it.
Yeah,
Here's the thing. You can share it to somebody. You share it with somebody. Hey, check this out.
We're here today. We're going to do a review of the Batman.
It's our first review.
Yeah.
Like it or not, we're ready to go.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
What did you do? What did you do?
Yeah, that's the scene in the film, yeah.
Spoilers. Oh, by the way, we should say, we're going to spoil out of this movie.
Spoiler
We're going to talk about it inside and out, underneath and over.
I've seen the movie twice now. I might see it a third or fourth time.
I've seen it once. That's all it took to move me. But I do want to see it again and again.
Yeah.
So, genuinely, right out the gate, you like it.
Yeah, I like it.
You more than like it. You loved it. Come on.
I really liked it.
Yeah. Come on.
For sure, yeah.
If you had 4 hands, you would give it 4 thumbs up. 2 big toes and 2 thumbs. That's what you would do.
Yeah. What about you? You liked it?
I did. I'm very critical. Here's the thing. It's very... I embrace my reaction right when I come out of a movie, but then I got to stew in it. I got to, you have this experience of going into a dark theater with a bunch of people and you're like, lift up. It's like empathetic. Like you're feeding off the energy of other people. And I know I saw a fun, really fun and good movie. And it felt long, but in a good way, because sometimes a movie can feel long, like in a bad way. And sometimes you don't notice the time. I noticed the time and I enjoyed it. This guy's Matt Reeves, the director's taking time with different shots, different things, the themes that he's exploring. And so I had to wait. You were like gangbusters right out of the movie, like, the best movie of all time. Pfft.
What was the best?
Number one Batman movie.
Yeah, I think it's the best Batman film ever made. It's because Matt Reeves shoots it in this film noir style, and it's freaking great. Yeah. It felt like a film noir. Like I've seen some film noirs, like the black and white ones, and it felt like a modern day film noir.
What is it? It's like 8 incarnation something if you count the 69 or 7 or something. Like movie version. I was just excited that they could still do something different with it. And still be super engaging and fun. Like, not too serious. Like, it was still fun.
The first thing I want to talk about is the way they, like, the shots. His shots, Matt Reeves' shots, like, he didn't do anything. There wasn't a lot of untraditional angles or shots or whatever. It was a lot of, like, wide shots. And then...
he did a lot of close-ups, too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get there. Did a lot of wide shots, and there's a lot of medium shots, and then there was a crap ton of close-ups, a lot of close-ups, and he would let the camera wasn't very active, only when it needed to be was it moving, but otherwise it was still, and like it wouldn't even dolly in sometimes, sometimes it would, but it was just a lot of still shots, and he would let the camera just sit there, and then the scene would play out, and then he would let the scene just play. And you're like, if you're watching it like a film noir and you're immersing yourself into the story, you feel you're watching people try to figure out you're watching Batman try to figure out the investigation. Like he's literally investigating. You see him thinking and pondering. If you're looking at Robert Pattinson, you have to look at his eyes, and like his eyes do like slight little things, and it's like okay, he's thinking now, the way he's looking, or just sometimes he's not doing anything with his face, but the idea when you look at someone and they start to think, their eyes kind of like go, they either look down or they look out or they look away, like up or away. They're not focusing on what's around them anymore. They're kind of zoning out and they're thinking. And that's how you know someone's deep in their thoughts. He did that a lot. Robert Pattinson's performance and then the angles, the way Matt Reeves shot. That's that was a big thing for me.
I left the movie with reactions like, why did I like that car chase so much? Why did I like my favorite moments that stick out that I keep on going back to when he wakes up in the police and they're toying with his mask and he gets up. Like if you remember one movie, he had the electrical thing where they couldn't, it shocked them when they
Yeah,
tried
yeah.
to take his. This was rooted in a little bit more kind of realism, and I
Yeah.
liked that. But what did I like about this like car chase? I knew I was watching something different. I didn't know if I liked it, but it was just like it pumped me up and it was still good. And it was all shot with close-ups, like in the mirror, in the face of the penguin, face of the Batman, and then a wide shot for an explosion, but I don't think it was the wide shot. It was just still filmed from the reflection from the side view mirror,
Well,
right?
there is
There
a
is a
wide
wide
shot.
shot.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember. I just remember it like, and it was so like cool. And then
The-
you have the glamour shot of him like walking in slow motion with his cape.
yeah, that's a full shot.
I'm like, so it was done differently, but it was a surprise, and I didn't know. So wasn't going in there analyzing the moment. I was just taking it in. But then I was trying to think about it, and I did want to see it before we talked about it. But I'm kind of glad I didn't because I can just stick on those raw moments are still there. That scene when he gets up when he's with all the police officers, the tension, the anxiety. I felt I was like, how the
Yeah.
heck is clearly Batman's gonna get out of it. But how is he gonna get out of this? They're all around him. How is he gonna get away with it? Clearly he's gonna do it. But I was like having that battle with myself. And to still have that moment where you're like, how is a good guy gonna get out of this situation? I love that. I love like, and I could have sometimes movies that move slow give me a chance to solve the crime and to solve the thing. But
Yeah.
somehow I wasn't because the
Yeah.
actors were so good.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright, are you
Mhm.
kidding me?
Greg Gordon.
That guy deserves an Oscar for just being alive. Every day, just give him an Oscar. Oh, Jeffrey Wright, here we go.
Great.
Pattinson, I had my doubts. I rolled my eyes. I rolled my eyes at the first poster or announcement that Robert Pattinson was going. Oh, great, not a British guy taking over the cowl, the cape and cowl. Great.
Mhm.
What kind of voice is he going to do for Batman? I had all this like bad attitude. I just thought it was I haven't been confident of. I know how you feel about the DC side of things in comic book lore. They have very rich history of stories. Clearly, Batman's the most interesting and fun for me. For me.
Yeah.
Grounded. There's many different ways to tell his story. You can go fun like Schumacher. You can go artsy, fartsy, darky like Tim Burton. You can go real like Nolan, and evidently Matt Reeves. You can go noirish. I love that they dug deep into the detective comics feel of it because that was my first comic book. Well, not my first comic book ever, but my first Batman was Detective Comics. I like this idea of like he was solving crime and getting in the middle of the grit. I don't know. I just it was a good movie.
Yeah, it was great.
What'd you think of the
The
villains?
car chase.
Oh, the car chase. Go. No, I'm sorry. I'm
The
all over
car
the place.
chase. The car chase was I think it was a great car chase because it still had it had the wide shots and the shots you needed to see the cars chasing each other, but there was a lot of again, he threw a lot Matt Reeves put a lot of close-ups.
You put the
And there's-
characters in the
yeah,
front
yeah,
seat.
and there was a lot of
Literally.
close-ups. Most of the close-ups were of the penguin because the penguin, Colin Farrell's penguin, is giving these amazing reactions and like the way he's interacting with the traffic around him and the chase and all that. And then there's close-ups. When you got close-ups of the Batman, there was also close-ups of the Batmobile. So he had like this camera set up where it's like right behind the rear wheel,
Yeah.
and it's like a close-up of like the wheel and like what's in front of the Batmobile, and you're just seeing the Batmobile move. And it was I don't know.
All the Batmobiles have a face. Cars have I imagine faces on cars. And I always like to pick the front car that looks like a nice car. That's what I want. But clearly, Batman picks him, kind of a mean face, and it's like pointed up like the cowl.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. No, that makes sense.
That's the things I look at, Satirius.
Yeah. But but Penguin's performance, Colin Farrell, I think, was the best.
We've talked about him before too,
Yeah.
right? He's a good actor.
He is a great actor. But I think he was. I think
Not
he
an
had
everyday Oscar actor like Jeffrey Wright, but he's good. No, I'm kidding. He's fun. Maybe once a week. You can get an Oscar.
But I think he had the best performance in the whole movie as Penguin. I really do. I really think he had the best performance. That like he engulfed himself into this character and was completely different from anything you've ever seen Colin Farrell do before.
And the Riddler and Penguin have been done before, so there was kind of this idea of like, that they're going to do it different, but I did not expect that. Like, okay, I get a little bit exhausted and tired by the mafia tropes for the bad guys, especially in the Batman. That's why I didn't watch the Gotham on TV. A lot of people liked it. Hey, before you go crazy about me being critical about it, I fell off for some reason. I don't like this idea of like, let's do stories in movies without the main character who sparked and evolved all those characters.
Yeah.
Like taking Batman out of it, taking Spider-Man out of something else. Please, tired. The Joker was a good movie though. Anyways, back to the Riddler and Penguin. I liked the whole, I guess from the comic, what I heard in retrospect was that he had a limp, people make fun of him. And then he fought back, became like this rich aristocrat, and he had like, that's why he has the cane, the umbrella's a cane, and all his umbrellas had different things going on. Don't need that. But remember, so when he was handcuffed and he walked and he kind of waddled like a penguin. So they did all these little nods to the and he was in charge of the, what was it? The 52 Below or whatever that.
Yeah, the Iceberg Lounge.
Iceberg Lounge, please.
Yeah.
It was fun.
44.
What?
Yeah, 44 Below.
What was that?
That's the club underneath the Iceberg Lounge.
The 44 Below. 52 Below, I think, is a real place in New York City on 52nd Street.
Oh, yeah.
And it's below it there. I think so.
I didn't know.
44 Below.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
what do you think about the riddles?
I think the riddles were interesting. I remember watching the film and I was trying to solve the riddle as you said it, but Batman was too quick, of course.
Because they were simple riddles. I think they weren't simple, but I think they were simple enough that some people would be like, so they just got right to it.
Yeah.
It's still pushing the fact that he's good and he's quick. Batman's got this, he's smart. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was another thing about the whole take on Batman was that he's kind of fresh. So in that chase scene,
he's only year 2.
Yeah, you see his anxiety and nervousness. Like when he does the squirrel thing with the thing, jumps off the building, he does exhales and he's nervous about jumping. Like, oh, you get to see this like side of him. Like this is like the first time he's jumping off a building and gonna do the little.
I think he's done it before because he put that suit on like real fast. But I think he's never done it
Wayne,
that high
he's done
before.
It.
Yeah,
like like a thrill seeker, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like Bruce Wayne is like going out. Oh, what did you think about the Bruce Wayne?
I think so a lot of people. I think a lot of people are complaining about his Bruce Wayne being like,
why?
Because they're saying he's too like depressed or whatever, and he's not. He's supposed to be the playboy. He's supposed to be like the playboy billionaire. And I'm like, dude, he didn't do anything public. The only public scene we have Bruce Wayne in was the funeral scene. That's it. Everything else, Bruce Wayne in this movie was him either in the Batcave, at home with Alfred, and that's literally it. Bruce Wayne wasn't in public a lot in this film. It was mostly Batman.
That was the point of Matt Reeves in this movie. It was one of the themes. It was about, not necessarily about his alter ego, but it was about the sins of the father. Matter of fact, a thing in a thing. It was a thing, and it was like a riddle in the narrative. But the sins of the father. The whole thing was him learning about his dad and not wanting to be burning all that up. The money and not worrying about that, focusing on him putting on the cape and the cowl and perfecting that. And now we see through this movie how important his persona is going to be as Bruce Wayne specifically, and how he can do good by that, and how he sees
Mhm.
Like I'm guessing, I'll make like kind of a little like a little prediction here that we're gonna get this idea that he's gonna put up the cape to try to focus on his Bruce Wayne and do more philanthropic things, but realizes he needs the cape. You know, he needs to be the Batman. And that's how they're going to
Well,
play it
they
out.
kind of
But I think it's definitely going to be him focusing on his Bruce Wayne. And we'll get this. And I know Pattinson can do at least that well. Matter of fact, when he first popped up and I said, "Oh, Robert Pattinson," I was like, well, at least he's got the Bruce Wayne down, but it wasn't the Bruce Wayne I expected. He did the emo. Everybody seemed to hate that he's doing this like Twilight version of Bruce Wayne. It's like, relax,
well,
people. He's not
that's what
really.
Matt Reeves wanted anyway.
He wanted a brooding, hurt young man, not wanting to put on. He wants to put on the cape, not the suit. You know,
Well, they said it in the movie multiple times that that's who he really is. That the mask is not even the when
he's
he's
really
talking to the
Batman.
Riddler. Yeah, when he was talking to the Riddler, he's like the mask, like you wear the mask because that's who you really are. That's your face is the mask or whatever. It's the same thing they did in the Dark Knight trilogy when he was talking to Rachel and Rachel was like poking his face and saying, she's like, this is your mask. You know,
Yeah, the real character, the real alter ego is Bruce Wayne.
yeah.
Did you like the Riddler, Paul Dano?
I think the Riddler was exactly what he needed to be for this film. Um, I like Paul Dano's performance. I never knew who Paul Dano was before the Riddler. I know he was in like this famous TV show or something.
He's in a bunch of things.
Yeah, but a
Don't
lot of
quiz
people
me
like
on
him.
what, but
Yeah, a lot of people
he
like
shows
him.
up and I like him. Yeah, he's really solid. He's dependable, right?
Right.
And he did a great job here. Um, I love the idea of the Riddler, and it's one of my friend's favorite characters. Like everybody loves the Joker, but then like this guy would dress up like the Riddler.
Yeah.
My friend Greg. Um, but little shout out. The idea that it suits the Detective Comics Batman really well, and the idea that he really being played with the psyche of Batman because he's such a psychological kind of character.
Yeah.
Like he's rooted in so much, like could be depression or just like darkness and the whole duality of his character, Bruce Wayne, Batman. That whole thing. Uh, so I love that they played with that and they pluck at it. I love that he was they had Batman in the room a lot. Like he's just standing there in a room. I don't know. Like the whole like that the cop scene is one thing, but like when he's like standing there, like the opening shot is like, okay, oh, here we are.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if it
I
was the
like what
opening
they
shot,
did.
but he was there.
Yeah, I like what Matt Reeves did. He made Batman like his
Like a
goal was
Sherlock Holmes, like just standing there or something.
well, he made Batman kind of like a horror character too. But instead of him being like the antagonist horror character in a
Yeah.
horror film, he's the protagonist and he's the horror to all criminals. So all criminals fear him. Like you have that whole opening scene
Yeah.
where they just have the light on, the bat light on, and he's talking and he's like, they think I'm in all the shadows. They're afraid to walk down dark
I love
alleys.
it.
And then you have that teardrop mask guy who just robbed the store clerk and he's running and then he sees the alley he was about to run into and it's really dark and he's like backing up and then they do the typical like hit by a car scene.
I hate that shit.
But he got up
It's cheap. You hear me, Matt? You're better than that.
and I like the way Robert Pattinson does this Batman walk. He's like very still. Like his body doesn't like when someone walks, they have a little bit of a sway to them. There's a swagger in everyone's walk. He doesn't do that. He's very like upright, kind of like Michael Myers kind of feel where he's like very he's like straight, like
Yeah.
upright, and he's just walking slow into the scene. And it's awesome because he walks slow, like in that when we first see the Batman, he comes out of the shadows after they get off the
I know
train.
what you're talking about. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, he comes out of the shadow and he does that walk, that slow walk, and he's like just boom, boom.
If I had to think
Boom.
my
But then
favorite
he-
moments, that's one of them. Like the compilation of him walking out of the shadows and the fights in the shadows, like with the gun and lighting up the background. He was like the
Oh
machine
yeah, at the
guns
end, yeah,
firing.
at the end, yeah. But it was because it's cool because he's so slow. It reminds me of it makes me think of the Undertaker. Like he's very slow in movement, and like very slow in movement. But then in the fight, when he needs to move fast, he moves fast, and like that's the only time you see Batman go really fast. With and they showcase it to you like this is the Batman style. He comes out walking real slow, and then this guy's coming, and he's like about to, I don't know, he's acting tough or whatever, the cringy tough guy thing, and then Batman stops his hand, just starts pummeling him to the ground, and then and then the rest of the guys come, and then he's like really fast, and I don't know.
I like your Michael Myers walk. That's what it reminded me of, like coming out of the shot, like almost haunting, like scary, like a jump scare.
Yeah, he's like he's this haunting character to criminals.
And they just set that up with that monologue at the beginning, and how they also bookend, he reaches out to the guy that he just saved, and the guy was also afraid of him, just
Yeah.
like the bad guys were. And it's like, all right, it's a good introduction of the themes he's going to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, is the guy fighting justice, the vigilante, going to be a hero or not? Is he just this archetype of, fear?
Yeah, I mean, people are skeptical of him the whole movie. The only person that really trusts him is Gordon, but that's because it's kind of heavily, uh, heavily hinted or what's it called?
That he's worked
No.
that they work together on
Well,
something.
yeah, that they've worked. They said that they've been
I wanna
working
find
together
out
for the
that
last 2
story.
years. Yeah, they said they were working together for the last 2 years, but he's the only one that's clean. Like he's the only clean, legit cop.
Yeah.
And because and the only thing like dirty about Gordon is that he's willing to work with the vigilante, but he's working with the vigilante because he knows the vigilante is doing what the good, clean cops should be doing.
Yeah.
But Gordon's alone, so Gordon's like, you know what? I have no choice. This is the only good, clean cut guy out there fighting crime with me. I got to team up with the vigilante, which I like that. But that was always Gordon and Batman's relationship.
I want to talk about the part of the film that I've heard a lot of people had problems with, and that's like the last hour. The last hour that brings it to the 3-hour mark that people think that they could have cut, but that it could have ended on him banging the glass of, "What did you do? What did you do?" At the end.
Yeah.
And you get that whole tension of, oh, he knows that he's Bruce Wayne. It's a great scene. And you also get the idea that, oh, he thinks, the Riddler thinks that they were teaming up and working together, and then it breaks that whole thing. But then you get the whole last hour where it's like the climax, what Matt Reeves wants to be the climax of the film is that he kind of fails. The city walls come pouring in, but it bookends, it forces that bookend where he reaches out, and then this time somebody takes it because they realize he's a hero and there to help, right?
Yeah.
So, and he discovers the whole thing about, he says he's vengeance, but he hears the bad guy be vengeance, and he can become the bad guy.
Yeah,
He can
how I took it is he heard him say I'm vengeance, and it's like that's what I always said. That's kind of
That's my thing.
That's
What
the
are you doing?
well, that was like the remark that he would always give.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, it's like now I know that I'm like this is the power of my influence, and I can influence people the wrong way too. And that's how I took it.
Because that's how the Riddler influenced those people. They
Yeah.
thought they were being vengeance, that they were the good guys doing the right thing.
Yeah.
In a desperate way.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
He's supposed to be the architect of justice.
Yeah. The whole storming against the mayor, art, like reflecting reality. But
Yeah.
do you think it needed you? So you fall on the side that that last hour needed to be there.
I think that last hour is fine. I don't know why people hate it. I mean, the Riddler's supposed to be a genius, right? He's supposed to be this really intelligent villain.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's supposed to be smarter than Bruce Wayne. And Bruce Wayne is supposed to be considered a genius. So a genius detective against a genius, madman, terrorist kind of guy, right? That's how I always took it. Like when I played the Arkham games and like some of the comics and whatever little I knew of Riddler, I always thought Riddler was smarter than Bruce Wayne, just by a little bit, at least a little bit. Bruce Wayne was always able to beat him, which made him the better man, but Riddler was always smarter. And that's why I liked that ending where Riddler, he caught Riddler. The whole time, the Batman's behind Riddler. He's always a step behind.
Yeah.
He's never there. He never catches him. He's never ahead of him. He ends up winning, but he won because he's the better man, not because he was smarter or he outsmarted the Riddler.
He's a better, well-rounded man. Like, he's got the smarts, he's got the brawn and bravery, but he's also got his connections to Catwoman, to Gordon, to Alfred. He's got these people in his corner because of justice and because of his, that's how it was never Batman alone. I feel like Batman alone could win out, just barely, but he wins out more usually because of his relationships to other people in his life, right? And I think you need that last hour, and I loved it for all the thematic things that it ties up in a bow. It ties, it's kind of too neat, but I don't mind it. I like it. It makes it feel like a full movie. Like,
and you needed that because they didn't really know if they were going to have a sequel or not.
And that's what I liked about it. Like what I said earlier was that, it's a movie that stands on its own. It rounds out the relationship with Catwoman, kind of puts a thing on that. It kind of sets you off to where his relationship with Gordon's going to be, and Alfred, especially Alfred, and which is a beloved character, right? And we can talk about him and Catwoman because we haven't yet.
Talk about that.
And then what he does to the mayor, what he does with the mayor for the mayor, it's his reaction to the city. Like he failed the city maybe in a moment because, like you said, he's always a step behind, and that was a big cost, like the dams breaking, the water coming in. But it showed how he could be the hero, and you needed to see, as cheesy and cringy a little bit as it was, him have that light, and he leads them out.
Yeah,
he leads them out, and you have that overhead shot of him with the cape, and he's holding the torch and leading the people through the water. And he's grabbing he moved the thing out of the way and he grabbed it. But I wish, I heard somebody say this and I agree with this. I wish he was doing more Batman things. You don't need it. It was just fine, like you say, to borrow your word. But I wish that he used like some pulley contraption thing, battering thing. I don't know what, where he could
like
move
the
something.
Text or gadget stuff.
Yeah, like it's Batman specific.
Yeah, but it's year 2 Batman.
But anybody can move a thing and take her hand, but the simplicity is probably what he landed on. He probably did have a thing where he hooked something up here and he moved the thing and it moved, and it was like, why?
I feel like some people, I don't know. They're too much into the gadget crap. Like the James Bond film, like Pierce Brosnan's Bond films in particular, were like too gadget heavy, and it kind of just gets in the way of the film, in my opinion. It's just too much. You too much crap going on. Oh, look at this. I got an invisible car. Way, bing, bang, boom. Hey, look out.
Don't make fun of Batman's utility belt. He always had a utility belt.
No, I'm not making fun of Batman's utility belt. I was making fun of the, Die Another Day, where he's driving around an invisible Aston Martin.
I know, but it was always the most ridiculous fun thing.
Yeah, but this is, I don't know, it's too much.
Especially
for a film like that. It's a film noir, and they were trying to make it serious. They were trying to take it a little more seriously. They're trying to make it a little more grounded in reality. If he started coming out with these crazy-ass gadget gizmo crap, it would be like, all right, immersion's kind of breaking
Then you're back to the Burton and Schumacher Batmans, where it was not where Matt Reeves wanted to live in.
Yeah. Yeah. And
more practical things, like the squirrel suit. I hate that it's called a squirrel. I wish they would come up with a different word for that. I think that's what it's called. I don't know.
Yeah.
With a little cape that became like wings.
I liked that the mayor got shot. That's what I liked.
Excuse me?
I liked it.
You're going to get red flagged.
I don't care. I liked that the mayor got shot.
They're checking your
because
emails
of the way the way the scene played out. Because I was like, this is going to be, in my head, with the way she was talking and the way she was trying to lead it, it was like, this is going to be some kind of like something they feel like they have to throw into the film. It feels like that. It feels like they're trying to send a message or something. Like, like how like films nowadays, they try to throw this, they try to force this political message or whatever. I was like, it's going down this road. And then she got up there and I'm like, in real life, she'd get shot. And then boom, she got shot. I was like, thank you. Oh my God. Finally, a film does what would really happen, And I also think it helps her character growth. Now she's a leader who put herself in harm's way for her people. She got shot. She lived. Now she's gonna come back. It's like a Theodore Roosevelt kind of moment.
She literally took one for
She
the
took one for
team.
the city. So now I think it helps her character. So I like that they shot her. I like that she got shot in the movie because it works. No, it fits.
It
It's
does
the
play
best.
with the reality of the situation. I had a lot of problem. Like I found myself always wrestling. Would this really happen? Would he really do that? How he got right under the light, and then that was the thing. Like that whole thing where he gets under the light, and that was I don't even remember. You know what scene I'm talking about? Where he's like, "Don't get like." Something about in the light was one of the riddles, and he gets under the street light, and then that's how they get Falcone or something like that.
Yeah. Supposed to bring Falcone to the light. He said, "Bring the rat to the light, and then that's where you will find me," or something like that.
I mean,
because the whole time
I was like, it was so neat. Like, really, how could he plan that? But I gave it to him. I suspended my disbelief in that moment.
Mhm.
But we need to talk about Catwoman.
Yeah, we do.
Zoe
need to talk about
Kravitz.
She was gorgeous, and she did a phenomenal performance. And
My
Catwoman was the piece of the puzzle that Batman needed.
Love.
And well, there's no love.
It was
yet.
love.
Nah, I don't know.
It was a little stirrings of love. Every time there was a moment where he loved his dad and he loved Alfred, Catwoman was a scene before, a scene after.
There was some.
It was love.
There was some
Love.
infatuation filled with intrigue. I don't think they're in love yet.
Oh.
That's what I would say. Some infatuation
You
filled
saw
with
the
intrigue.
sparks. You saw the sparks going like.
There's sparks. There's potential.
He's toying with this
Catwoman
idea.
Yeah, the bat and the
I
cat
could love somebody.
In my opinion, the bat and the cat should be. That's the couple that Batman should be with Catwoman. In my opinion.
Yeah, but cats always hunt bats.
Oh my God, that's not true.
It is true. Come on, they always go for the birdie things and the things.
No, they don't. They go for
They prowl.
They go
They're on
for
the prowl.
mice and rats. That's what they go for.
People had problems with her, like, you think about Selena Kyle from the Tim Burton movies, like she falls in cats and they give her breath of life and she comes back and goes, so she's Catwoman.
See,
And then the origin story of this movie is that, Batman says, oh, what are you, a cat lady or something like that? Because she has these cats.
Yeah.
And then that's how she gets that moniker. I'm like, I don't care.
They're trying
So
to
what?
ground it in realism.
She has the ears. She has the ears from
I
the
like
club.
her.
She's a stripper. I
like
it.
her Catwoman better than any other Catwoman rendition.
Go easy there. I'm a Michelle Pfeiffer fan.
Yeah, no. Everybody likes. Is that the Tim Burton Catwoman? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of her. I thought she was too ditzy and too,
her persona, her the hell is that called? I just said it earlier. Now I can't think of the word.
alter ego.
Her alter ego.
Yeah.
Selena Kyle
Yeah.
is like, she plays a ditzy secretary, but she and anytime someone's bad to a woman or whatever, she kind of exacts some kind of feminine vengeance on them.
That's fine.
She's beautiful. She's stunning. She wore
Yeah, no,
that suit
yeah.
a glove.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
But I'm giving it up for Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz
This
is
whole
amazing.
incarnation was great. Her flirtation with him, the way she was kind of short compared to, but let's be
Well, she's
honest,
5'1"
Robert
in her-
Pattinson was in these little stilty boots.
She's also 5'1", and Robert Pattinson's like 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah,
So he's literally
they
a
could have
foot
done more
taller
with
than her.
the casting there.
He's literally a foot taller than her.
Zoe Kravitz is a great.
She was
great
great.
actress.
I think she did great.
She's been in some good stuff, and I really love her approach. And I love the whole moment, like the whole tech gadgety thing with the eyes, and that was the one big tech thing that was kind of unrealistic that I kind of embraced, but it needed to be there. That scene was awesome. Like he was the man in her ear, and she was kind of fighting it. I loved that moment. It was so good. And she goes rogue and takes it out. I was like, no. And that whole tense moment, like they call her over there when she was in the iceberg lounge.
Mhm.
And she had some. I kind of don't want to give away too soon, even though we did say it's spoilers.
We
But
said a lot of
it's a
spoilers.
great scene.
But yeah. No, I think.
Ooh. I have another great cat and bat moment.
Okay.
One of my favorite shots is them riding together on the motorcycles at the end and then going to separate. I'm such a cheese ball, but it was so good. It's like, oh, they're having this fun moment where they're playing
at the end,
chase,
yeah.
and they get literally to the bridge, past the bridge, the crossroads, and one goes left and one goes right. I mean, come on, it's poetic, it's beautiful, it's lovely.
About that. Yeah,
my favorite moment, one of them.
I liked her rendition of Selena Kyle and Catwoman. It's like a woman you could take seriously because she wanted to be taken seriously. She had her own objective. She wanted to figure out what happened to her friend. She also had her goal with, taking the money, Penguin Falcone's
Mm.
money. She had, you know, the whole, she had her own arc, and I liked
Yeah.
that. And I
Yes.
liked that. And,
The
and,
whole everybody was related to each other was kind of weird. She's related to
well, that was
Falcone. Falcone's related to Bruce.
well, Falcone's not related to Bruce. He was just
Well,
connected
had
to his
it
father.
connected,
Yeah.
very connected, like connected in a way that his father saved. Like, yeah,
No, I think the story is his father I don't know what happened. Falcone, they
Falcone
explain
gets
it.
shot. His father helps him
Yeah,
because his
because at the
father's like
end,
a surgeon or something, right?
yeah, something like that. But Falcone was trying to he was trying to get Thomas Wayne into his pockets. That's the story.
Yeah.
And Thomas Wayne didn't want him to get into his pockets. And then that's why Alfred explained why why Thomas Wayne hired Falcone to kill the fucking guy. You find out he didn't want to kill him. He just wanted
Fucking guy.
he wanted Falcone to just scare him. He just wanted to put some fear in him. And then when he found out that Falcone killed him, he was distraught and whatever, all that crap. And then he said that night to Falcone, he said to him that night, the night that Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne got shot, he said, I'm gonna turn you into the authorities and I'm gonna deal with the consequences, blah 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 blah. He was gonna be a good
They
man.
set up that that's how they got killed. Like Falcone had.
It's
his hand in
possible
it.
that Falcone had his hand in it, but they don't know for sure because it could have just been some random thug on the street.
Like, I'm fine with that. It was just I get the idea that he's trying to put Thomas Wayne in the pocket, try to get him in the pocket, get all the rich people in his pocket and everything. I
Yeah.
get that, but the whole like surgeon thing, and then he was like the illegitimate father, or she was the illegitimate daughter of Falcone from one of the strippers. Like,
It was apparently
it's fine. It's fine.
It's
It's fine.
apparently
It's
that
just,
was a story in the comics too. That Selena Kyle was the daughter of Falcone. That was also in the comic. I think that's why they threw it in.
that's why it's fine.
Yeah,
There's depth there. It's not just thrown in. They actually spend some time on
yeah.
it,
They let it
and it
fester
gives
and
her
grow.
connection to the crux of the story. Because otherwise, she's going to do her own thing. She plays up to a certain point. She plays with just like a cat. They're so temperamental. Like it's like I'm your friend for a moment, then I'm out, and then they go someplace and they go do something,
Yeah,
poop in their litter box or whatever.
yeah. But I like the way she did it.
What else did we
Um,
talk about? Alfred, come on,
Alfred wasn't in the film a lot, but
they're setting him up. Come on, he's
yeah,
a
they were
great
setting
actor.
him up. Yeah, and they had Andy Serkis
yeah.
playing him,
Oof.
which is one of the greatest actors alive right now.
Mm.
I don't think he was in the film a lot, so there's not much to talk about Alfred yet.
But everybody loves Alfred.
Alfred is being set up for a bigger picture. That's
To be the guy in the chair.
in the next film. Yeah, to be the Oracle before the Oracle. If you know what that means, you're a Batman fan. I really do think that
But I will.
Penguin's gonna be the main villain of the next film, and Joker's always gonna be that side villain because in reality, Joker is just that villain that kind of comes up after Batman's rise. So it's like what they talk about in the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. At the end of the Batman Begins, he's like Gordon asks Batman like, well, what about escalation? If we wear body armor, they wear they use armor piercing rounds and yada yada stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
If we run around with semi-automatics, they run around with automatics. Like it's escalation, and he's like, so what's your point? And it's like you're jumping off rooftops, and you got these crazy things, and like Joker's supposed to be the escalation, right? So that's kind of what I think that's what they should do. I don't know if that's what they are going to do, but I think that's what they should do with Joker. Joker is just always there, and
He's popping up.
He's the escalation. Every time Batman does something, Joker comes out worse. And that's kind of what happens in the comics and all that. Every time Batman does something, he achieves this new level of Batman to beat the enemy, to beat the bad guys, put him in jail. Joker comes back and he's worse. He's the escalation. So
They're good.
I think that's
They're
what
good
they should
foibles. I love his rogues gallery, Batman's rogue gallery, because they always do what they did in this film. Batman's always on the verge of becoming one of those characters. If he does what he does to an extreme, he can very easily become these villains, right? It's kind of the idea they make you think of. Like that's kind of like the one of the themes.
Yeah.
And Joker does that really well because he's so like chaotic,
Yeah. And Batman's all about order and
unpredictable.
justice.
Yeah, he's about order and also solving a crime. There's order to that, trying to figure out. But Batman, I mean, the Joker is so unpredictable. It's
He
not like
doesn't
the
like
Riddler where there's a map to it. He's just
he
chaotic,
wants to
like
break the rules, and he has a plan,
so
but he
dangerous.
he he executes the plan like it is all chaos, but it's not. It's chaos that he's controlling. He wants certain things to happen. He creates certain chaos to push Batman to a point where Batman either breaks his rules or falls to chaos.
Yeah. And
That's
that's what the Joker's trying to do, get him to,
He's trying to get him to
yeah,
flip. Yeah,
get him
because
to
then,
flip.
then the Joker wins, and then the Joker can die happy.
That Dark Knight movie is probably one of my 89 original Batman, Tim Burton, just nostalgia. I go back and watch, okay, it's not as great a film, but it's still just as fun and nostalgic. Lights me up every time with a smile, adventure, and Michael Keaton is fantastic. But then The Dark Knight Rises, they tie for one for me. I mean, not Rises, Dark Knight with Heath Ledger. Like that movie, I can watch over and over again, and it's dark. And then so the number two, if those two are tied for one, number two would probably be The Batman by Matt Reeves, I think. And then Dark Knight Rises, and then some of the others.
The last thing I want to say about the Batman is I like the pacing. A lot of people complain that it's too long. I don't care what you think. I like the pacing. I like the feel of it. It's a film noir. It's supposed to be this longer pace, this slower pace. You're supposed to be walking with the detective as he tries to uncover the clues or piece the puzzle together. And that's what you see. That's what you get out of this film. There's a lot of close-ups every time a scene gets intense, or the investigation or the discussion of an investigation starts to get intense, or they're starting to get closer to that answer. Close-ups come up. That's why there's a lot of close-ups. Like when I remember there's this particular scene I remember watching the second time I watched the film, because when the second time I watched it, I was watching what Matt Reeves's angles were. I was trying to look at his shots, and I was trying to look at how they use the lighting and more. And there's this one scene where they're talking about thumb drive, and
That was a funny bit.
yeah, and right after that, they're kind of together in this room, and it's like it starts off full shots, and then it goes into medium shots, and then it goes, kind of, and then it just goes into these close-ups, and the close-up shots are most of the scene, because that's when they're like right there and they're figuring out answers, but then it's leading them to more questions, and then it's more answers, and it creates this intensity of the investigation, the thought process of the investigation. So there's no action, there's nothing intense happening in the scene except the conversation of the investigation.
Yeah. The edits are quick, and that gives a pacing that speeds it up, even though it's slow and they're not doing action. The action is the story unfolding in the close-ups as they get.
Well, they're
I
quick.
like the pacing too. It's 3 hours, 3 good acts.
Yeah.
I think it was
They're
necessary.
quick, and they're quick for the pacing that the film is. They're really, if you look at them, they're not very quick cuts. It's just like close up, and it's like sit there, sit there, sit there, close up, sit there, sit there, sit there, sit there, close up, sit there. But then it's like those cuts are a little faster to certain other
But like
elements of the film.
what you're saying from the wide coming closer in, that gives a sense of movement.
Yeah.
That
Without having to move the camera,
Yeah.
because he doesn't.
that's
His
the point that I
like
was like.
Michael Bay, like for as an example, Michael Bay has a very actively moving camera when he directs. This film, Matt Reeves, his camera wasn't moving. That's why it was like still shots. Like it was every time there was a close up, it was a still shot. If the camera was moving, it was for either a specific reason or to follow the action. Even the action shot, like the fight shots, there were still shots, and they were
But the
just
shadows were moving. Like
the-
he was in dark with the gun and coming out, and he was just showing you the action, but it looked like the camera was moving because the light was moving in the shot. I loved that fight, like at the end when he's fighting with the guns.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It was a great film. I think it's the best Batman film ever made at this point, because it was the first time you really get that detective heavy Batman, and that's what Batman is. He's the world's greatest detective. That's what you see in the comics and you play the video games. That's extremely highlighted that he's the world's greatest detective. He's a genius because he's a genius detective. And yeah, that's the Dark Knight trilogy, you didn't really get that detective vibe. Yeah, I mean, you did, but you didn't. Like he's figuring out, he's solving stuff. But this feels like a real detective type movie.
Yeah. And I agree. However, I feel it proved to me there's many exciting ways to tell the story of the Batman. And this was one that wasn't done before, and definitely appreciate all the attention to detail to make it fun, yet still keep it gritty and seeming real. Because it could be really easily a retread of the Nolan films, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It could have been a retread of some kind of like fun comic booky feel, a cross between the Schumacher and Tim Burton film. It wasn't,
It
but it
felt
was a little bit of all that.
it felt like you were in Gotham, and it felt like I played the Arkham games, which was these Batman games that were
Mhm.
really heavily influenced by the comics, and it felt like the Arkham games or the comics come to life, but in this
Yeah.
more realistic version of it. And that was what was cool. I think we covered it.
Yeah. I want to see it again.
Yeah,
Let's
I'm
go.
going to see it again.
I'm gonna pop me some popcorn, sneak it in.
Yeah. But overall, Batman. It's a great film. You should go watch it, especially if you're a Batman fan. If you're not a Batman fan, you should watch this film. And if it doesn't turn you into a Batman fan, you're a loser. That's my opinion. Oh, hey, no, I'm
Hey,
kidding. I'm kidding. But it's a great film. You should have fun watching it. And if you go in there watching it like it's a detective film, you'll have fun watching it. But yeah, I think we covered it.
yeah, we did good, man. That was
Yeah.
good. I was nervous about the first review pod,
No,
but
then we got it. I've been
when you love it,
Shatherius.
you love it.
Yeah. I've been Shatherius Lemitius.
I've been Joshua Callahan.
We've been the Gentleman's Sit Down. We hope you have a great week. We'll catch you next week.
Enjoy.
Peace.
Peace.